Would you please stand again for the reading of the gospel? Then Jesus began to teach them that the Son of Man must undergo great suffering and be rejected by the elders, the chief priests, and the scribes, and be killed, and after 3 days rise again. He said all this quite openly, and Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. But turning and looking at his disciples, he rebuked Peter and said, "Get behind me, Satan, for you are setting your mind not on divine things, but on human things." He called the crowd with his disciples and said to them, "If any want to become my followers, let them deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. For those who want to save their life will lose it, and those who lose their lives for my sake and for the sake of the gospel will save it. For what will it profit them to gain the whole world and forfeit their life? Indeed, what can they give in return for their life? Those who are ashamed of me and my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, of them the Son of Man will also be ashamed when he comes in the glory of his Father with the holy angels." And he said to them, "Truly I tell you, there are some standing here who will not taste death until they see that the kingdom of God has come with power." The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.
Good morning, everybody. If you get really bored, I give you permission to try to read my stickers on my computer. Okay. I would like to preface this, like I always do, because all of my forays into public speaking should come with prefaces, by saying I haven't spoken in front of a congregation since I was 14. So hopefully I do this with a modicum of grace. When Pastor Jolene asked me to share my testimony with you all, I did what any person, given a generous opportunity to share with their community, would do. I asked for a rubric, a template. She very patiently said to listen to the testimonies given in previous weeks and just observe. So thank you to Jack and Rich for sharing and helping me. I needed it. My former familiarity with testimonies comes from summer camp, where counselors would share their faith journeys to about 300 kids sitting in the blazing sun in a sleepy hour between afternoon games and dinner. Not the most attentive listeners. Sometimes these stories follow the formula of sharing all the negative things that happened in a person's life, eventually that brought them to Jesus. And as a know-it-all persnickety high schooler, I thought this type of vulnerability, while sincere for the speaker, was too much for everyone else. My family of Covenanters, perpetually glued to the back rows and pews at my home church, who don't clap to music or speak during prayers of the people, instilled in me a sense of, to be a good Christian is to not make a scene. This is the opposite of that. Okay. I think this sense of quiet self-containment probably slowed any sort of burgeoning faith journey for me that I was seeing in my peers at camp. Often my reservedness in worship, my small group in my daily life, I felt only comfortable enough to bring people to church with me a few weeks ago. I didn't do that before. And now for some ecology stuff. Okay, not ecology, but after reading some of James Baldwin's work, I think he summarized the first 3/4 of my life fairly well. He writes, "And since I had been born in a Christian nation, I accepted this deity as the only one. I supposed that God and safety were synonymous. Going to church with my family every week, working in the nursery, attending a Christian school, and a Christian summer camp, all of these things are safe to me. I'm thankful that they are, because they are unsafe places for other people. So now I have this dilemma, which is to tell you what really ignited the fire in me to believe in the Lord. Telling you that I believe in Jesus because it is the safe thing to do is not why I agreed to share with you. So I will share with you one of the largest reasons I believe in the good works of Jesus, in God, and being a part of the kingdom of God. Thank you for sticking with me through my anecdotes, because there is a point to all of this. I do feel safe in the presence of God, but my connection to a higher power is most tangible when I feel immersed in and overwhelmed by nature. One summer, my family went to Glacier National Park. Let's go, Montana. One day, a few of us decided to climb a mountain trail to a vague point, vague promised site of a waterfall. It's always a waterfall. Well, we came across a clearing where the trees creeped back into the forest and a silent lake sat motionless in front of us. The sky was a perfect soft gray, and if one looked out far enough, the horizon line vanished into mist. So you'd have this giant wall of gray clouds. So being a little bit of a punk and egging on my little sister, we started doing what all kids do. We threw rocks. Disturbers of the peace. Thank you for laughing at that. Then very briefly, right as a stone shattered the surface of the lake, I noticed a subtle shift in the hue of the water. Pausing, I dropped my rock and looked up. I stared into the sky and beheld a giant cliff face, one where you have to crane your neck to look at the top and then still can't see the bottom. Like, whoa, yeah. So many people use the word awesome to describe things, and I am a guilty culprit, but no experience I've ever had before was an accurate moment of awesomeness. We all have those moments of darkness, of brightness, and even the moments of middle-toned gray. When I saw those mountains emerge powerfully and suddenly, all the hair on my arms rose and I shivered down my spine. The simultaneous urge to panic laugh and stifled tears rushed through me. I almost felt like bowing, being brought to my knees by something so big. I felt like I needed to explain this to Midwesterners because that is one thing I miss most about the West Coast. So flat out here. Okay. Now I know this seems like a simplistic form of understanding of the divine. And on some level it is. I know that I'm not the first person to be amazed by the amount of wonder in nature. That's why we call them the natural wonders of the world. So a lot of people recognize it. There's a level of nature putting humanity in its place, at least for me. Never do I feel so at the mercy of God, who could make something so big as the mountains, canyons, or oceans than when I am witness to creation. Our beautiful Lake Michigan is a wonder. There's a God who knows how little I am, how my worries are small in comparison to the worries of the world, who sees my struggles, my faults, my insecurities, and takes them away through nature. There's a perfection in nature that will never be seen in me, except in my brokenness as a human. This perfection, this divine perfection, doesn't exist in the mountains alone. I've had to find other fixes to encounter God in this state. The expanse of sky that makes me feel like I'm looking out of a fishbowl. The wind against my cheek and through my hair, those cinematic, dramatic weather events. The crunch of leaves underneath my feet. When I feel the absence of God, and there are times when I forget the tug on that tether to the divine, I go outside to check that my tether to heaven is still there. Again, it's not the most enlightened, profound, astonishing method, but it's one that feels truthful. For those of you who have not seen or read A Room with a View, English major moment, here we go. There's a line when the character George climbs up into a tree to say his creed. Very dramatic, Mr. George Emerson. But he's like having this moment of panic in Italy, and then all of a sudden he's like, I realized something. And then he climbs up into a tree and he starts shouting, truth, beauty, freedom, joy, like a ridiculous maniac. And I kind of want to do that all the time. I don't usually do that, but I will. One of these days, I will just climb up into a tree. Okay. So regardless of the number of devotionals I have done, or time spent in and outside of church, I can always find my God outdoors in my little wonders of the world. but you guys have taught me something new. The most breathtaking thing that I have recently discovered is the joy of worshiping in a community of my own. It is a strange feeling to walk into a place devoid of the safety of my family, except for today. Hi, Auntie Cal, I love you. Or the assurance of feeling comfortable in business on a Sunday, for I simply must help prepare coffee hour. No, my latest encounter with the wonder of the divine is the kindness shown to me when I first came here. I feel seen and accepted here. I learn when I come here. There we go. I never fail to have joy when I see all of your faces. Thank you for welcoming me, for showing me how the wonder of human nature can carry the divine power of God. You are all a blessing to me, and I don't exaggerate when I say that I needed this community in my life. I'm so very grateful to have it.